Hello everyone, I'm Alex Dykes, and on today's child seat video we're taking a look at the all-new 2015 Honda Fit. Now this is a Graco Classic Ride 50 child seat, which is a convertible child seat, and that means it functions either in a forward-facing or a rearward-facing installation in the car. Before we dive right into this 2015 Fit, let's talk about convertible child seats. Convertible child seats are sort of a compromise between a dedicated rearward-facing child seat and a dedicated forward-facing child seat. They're designed to take your child from about 5 pounds to about 50 pounds. It really depends on the exact model of the convertible child seat itself. Now, by a compromise, what I mean is that when they're in the rearward-facing mode, so if you take a look at it like this, when they're in the rearward-facing mode, they're not as reclined as a decent number of infant seats out there. So you will find a little bit less protection in certain circumstances than a dedicated rearward-facing child seat. Now, there's a lot of debate about that, but most experts tell me that there is a little bit less protection in a convertible child seat like this than in a dedicated seat. However, they do occupy a little bit less room in the car, so you're more likely to be able to fit this in a car than one of those more horizontal child seats. Now, some people have asked about the exact installation angle in some of my videos. I always go by the built-in level that's right here on the child seat. There's a little ball and a little raceway, and the ball needs to be in the middle of the green zone if this child seat is in the rearward-facing position. Now, because of the camera angles required sometimes in order to get a complete picture of what things look like on the inside of the vehicle, these seats may look a little bit more upright than they really are. You should always check with a certified child seat inspector or a certified child seat installer in your local area to make sure that you've installed your child seat properly, especially if you're getting a new vehicle and you're a little unsure of the process. We're starting out in front because it is important to keep in mind that the Fit is not a terribly large vehicle. Right now this front seat is adjusted so that way I can actually fit a child seat behind me, but there's really not that much more room left in this seat track. This is as far back as the seat will actually travel backwards in the Honda Fit, but in order to fit this child seat in a rearward facing position behind me, I do have to move it forward to just about there. Now my knees are touching the dashboard, and I am a little bit far forward as far as the seat recline goes. As you can see with the front seat in that position, I do now have an acceptable amount of space between this rearward facing child seat and the front seat. You should always have about 1.5 inches to 2 inches between a child seat and the front seat, so that way there's enough room for this front seat to move in case of an accident. A rear end style accident, especially a front seat, will move a decent amount rearward. You don't want it impacting the child seat. Because of the Fit's relatively compact dimensions, I wasn't able to adjust my front seat at 6 feet tall to my ideal driving position and have a rearward facing child seat installed right here in the center because there wasn't an acceptable amount of room between this driver's seat and the center child seat. So if you are planning on putting a rearward facing child seat in the car and you do want 2 people up front, you may need to find a bigger car. Let's talk latch anchors. There are 2 sets of latch anchors in the rear seats. They're right here, right behind that little flap. Very easy to find as well as release. They're far enough back there in the seat back that you can't feel them as adults in the back seat. In addition to the outboard latch anchors, the outboard seats also have top tether anchors that are integrated into the seat back. They're right back here on the back of the seat, and you will find the top tether anchor for the center seat right up here on the ceiling. Before we move on to forward-facing child seats, let's talk about the rear bench seat. It does fold in a 60-40 folding fashion. The rear seat back is somewhat thin, but it is as comfortable as most entries in this segment. The headrests do fold right there into the seat back to help rearward visibility, so it is quite nice. They don't really stick out a whole lot above that seat back. Now the seat has 2 different manners of motion. We can fold it like this, in which case it is almost completely flat with the load floor in the back, or we can actually lift up this seat bottom cushion, fold down this bar, and the seat will stay up in this position, allowing you to put large items right here in the back. When it comes to multiple forward-facing child seats, it is important to remember, as I said earlier, that the Fit is not a terribly big vehicle. And the biggest difference between this and something like a Honda Civic is going to be the width of this rear bench seat. As you can see, I have 2 child seats in here, and this center seat is really quite far over here to the left. The center seat is installed with this lap and shoulder belt as well as the top tether anchor, but as you can see from the angle of this top tether anchor, the center seat, as I said earlier, is quite far to the left of the vehicle. It means I don't have a whole lot of room left if I'm going to try and sit over here and close this door, and in fact I barely fit back here. So if you do plan on carrying a passenger as well as 2 child seats, you may need to find a bigger vehicle. Very much like Ford's Fiesta or the Mazda 2, you can't fit 3 child seats of this type across the back seat of the Fit. If you do plan on putting 2 child seats in the back, I recommend putting them in the outboard seating position. It's going to be a lot safer because you can use those latch anchors, and the seating geometry is just going to be a little bit better in these outboard seating positions. If you do need to put 3 child seats across the back and you're looking in the same price range as the Fit, then something like a Kia Soul will be able to accommodate that just a little bit easier. Thanks to this vehicle's hatchback design, there is a decent amount of cargo space right back here behind the rear seat backs without folding them. I have a 26-inch roller bag right here and a 24-inch roller bag already jammed back here behind the rear seats. Let's see how well 2 child seats fit. Of course, I couldn't fit 3 child seats in the car, so there's no point in seeing how well 3 fit. And I suspect that they will easily fit right back here behind this rear seat back. And as I suspected, we have absolutely no problem fitting these right here into the back of the Honda Fit. Sort of nest them right there. And the hatchback has no problems closing, as you can see. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. Again, I'm Alex Dykes, and this has been the 2015 Honda Fit. Go ahead and click that subscribe banner at the bottom of your screen so you can be updated on all of my latest videos, including the full review of the 2015 Fit coming up in about a day or so. Go ahead and comment down there in the comment section down below as well. Let me know what you liked and didn't like about this video or about the 2015 Honda Fit in general. You can also find me over at facebook.com/AlexandAutos. You can always check out what car I'm reviewing this week right over there on Facebook. You can find me at Twitter as AlexOnAutos as well. You can always email your questions to alex@alexandautos.com. I'll see you next week.